Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am beyond excited today for today's presentation with Four Seasons Yachts. This company isn't even in the water yet. They are going to be debuting in 2026. So this is going to be a super exciting conversation today. I'm joined by Shane Bucksh. He is the Director of Global Business Development for Four Seasons Yachts. Shane, welcome.
Thank you, Emma. It's a great pleasure to be here with you today and speak to about Four Season Yachts again. Just as you were just very excited to have this product join us next year, and I'm excited to share it with you and your clients.
Yes, very excited. I am really keen to see all of your designs inside the Four Seasons yachts and learn about some of your itineraries, et cetera, as well. So please feel free to go ahead and launch and let us know all
Excellent.
about you.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. So, yes, Four Seasons is coming out with our yachts coming out in 2026, which we're very excited about. And in today's presentation, I'll probably just show you what to expect with the yachts, where we're going, and the differences that Four Seasons has to maybe your traditional cruise product that's out there right now. My background actually comes from cruise. I've been in over 2 decades in the luxury cruise and cruise segment. So I understand that cruising mentality, but this is a little bit different. And I think that for you and your clients, it's great that we're doing this presentation to kind of really decipher the differences that are there. So to start off, the ship is 222 passengers and 95 suites. So it is very small. This is a mega yacht, though. Gross tonnage wise, it's 34,000 gross tons. So if you were to compare that to a ship that's maybe currently in the water right now, just for reference point, it's about the same size as an Azamara ship or one of the smaller seaborne ships. So it
Okay.
is a fairly big vessel, yeah,
Yep.
but it's half the size of half or even a quarter of the passenger count. So
Great.
it really gives you an idea of the space ratio on board. A lot of people ask, who's our major competitor in the marketplace? And I would say that there is another brand out there with another hotel brand that's in the water now. And that probably is our biggest competitor. But comparing our ship to their first ship, um, our ship is actually 9,000 gross tons larger, but 54 less suites and 76 less guests. So
Wow.
again, the ratio on board the ship is we were really making this a hotel in the water, and we wanted to make sure that that was the case when we were, building the ship. It was all about space on board for the guests. Now, again, big question is when is the ship going to be ready? Where is the ship right now? So the ship is currently being built in the shipyard in Ancona, Italy. We chose the Fincantieri shipyard because Fincantieri is a very well-known shipbuilding company. They build a lot of major cruise line ships. But we did choose the Ancona shipyard because that particular shipyard is known for building a bit more of a luxury ship and smaller ships.
Okay.
So this way we're not worried about, delays or being bumped from another ship company coming in. So we were very particular on the shipyard that we chose. And the first ship's being built, and the inaugural voyage will be on March 20th of next year. So from Malaga to Malta will be the inaugural sailing. And then Four Seasons 1 will be sailing throughout the Mediterranean and then the Caribbean later on in the year, and kind of going back and forth between the two. And then we have slated Four Seasons 2 to join us in 2028. And there's hopes for additional ships after that, but right now we just have 1 and 2 ready to go. And of course, you and your clients might know this lovely lady on the screen, Captain Kate McHugh. She has joined us as our captain on board Four Season 1. So, formerly from Celebrity Cruise Lines, the first ever female captain of a major cruise ship in the world. Over 1 million followers on social media. Pleasure to
I am
work
one of
with.
them.
Yeah, right. And I get to chat her on Teams and ask her questions as the other. And great lady. And she is a girly girl at heart, but she knows how to drive the ship. Like it's just one of those rare, unique people that you meet. And we're very excited for her. And she posts a lot on social media of the ship currently in the shipyard. So people are really kind of drawn to it because they see the kind of the progress and the build of the ship and through her eyes as the captain. So it's really interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a total girl boss. I
Yeah.
just love her. I have
All
also I
right.
have met her in person and she is a super lovely person.
Yeah. She'll meet
So
every
I'm
guest
thrilled.
and yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thrilled for you
Very, very
guys.
Four Seasons through and through. And I honestly think that, you know, putting her aside, I think that she has always resembled the Four Seasons kind of level of hospitality.
Hmm.
But now she's in the light of the brand that she is with the brand of the company. So it's great to have her on board. And of course, Captain Duncan as well, who's the other captain we're going to be having. So between the two of them, they're really going to be bringing that Four Seasons kind of hospitality to light, just from
Amazing.
leadership at the very top. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that's really different about us is the ownership of the yacht and what we're trying to do as a brand. So the actual ships are owned by owners that own 7 Four Seasons properties. So they own Miami, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, and Surf Club in Florida. The Telluride property, as well as the upcoming Vatican City and Rome properties. So
Hmm.
the importance of that is this is owned by ownership that owns Four Season hotels. So they understand the level of hospitality. They understand, no corners are going to be cut. What's expected by Four Seasons as a brand. And then all the staff and crew on board are Four Season employees. So they're going through the full training as what a Four Seasons hotel staff member would get. So we expect this to be no different than the hotel product. And we're really cognizant of that. We have a lot of loyal repeat clients who are going to be going on the ship, and they expect nothing more nor nothing less than what they would expect at a land property.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this is really why we're a little bit different. Is we are an established hotel company bringing that to the waters. We're not
Hmm.
trying to be a cruise ship. And actually, that actually kind of leads me into this kind of video as I play it. We are not trying to be a cruise line. We are not
Okay.
trying to attract necessarily the cruise market. We're trying to really open up the world for that luxury hotel client who would typically say, I never stepped foot on a cruise ship. They like a different way of traveling. They like a bit more, they want more space. They want a bit more privacy. They love the Four Seasons, what Four Seasons represents as a hotel brand. They stay at our properties all the time. But they kind of put their cruising is not in their interest, but yachting is different. They look at yachting and they say, hey, I would do this. And especially if Four Seasons is doing it, I would do it. So
Right.
that's really where we're trying to kind of carve a new market out, if you want to say that, right?
Yeah.
So the traditional cruise client, honestly, is not really the client that's been booking us so far. It's been that luxury hotel client who says, I wouldn't do a cruise, but I'd spend $2,000 or $3,000 a night at a Four Seasons, and I know what I'm going to get, and I would do that, right?
Right. Well,
Another big element that's different from us is where we go. So we're spending 240 days at anchor. And for a traditional cruise ship, that is actually kind of a faux pas because, you want to be pulled up beside a pier and then let people off and on easily. And we're not trying to go to those ports. We're really trying to avoid those mega cruise ship ports and going to those more unique places where a super yacht would go, where, the lifestyles of the rich and famous people would hang out. And that's really what
right.
we want to do. So we're spending more time at anchor where we can then go into these kind of jewels within the Adriatic or the Caribbean and be able to really showcase regions of the world that are just not accessible to the everyday cruiser. When you look at the Caribbean, prime example of this is we have a Four Seasons property in Ocean Club in the Bahamas, Anguilla, and in Nevis. Those are the only properties that we have throughout the entire Caribbean. So this now allows us to have a Four Seasons hotel in areas of the world where we just simply don't have one. So St. Bart's, Aruba, St. Kitts, Curacao, all these different areas now where we maybe never were able to build a hotel because there's not the infrastructure or the airlift or whatever it may be, or people just don't go there for a full week maybe. Now
Hmm.
we can go there in a Four Seasons property and say we have a Four Seasons in St. Bart's. Now it's not on the foundation,
Right.
but we get there, we spend the night overnight, and then the next morning we leave to the next destination. So we're similar to cruise in the way of we follow an itinerary, but we are doing it in the eyes of a Four Seasons, right? So that's
Okay.
where really kind of the differences lie in there.
I love that concept. It's kind of like a mobile hotel, whereas you
100%.
just, like you said, you can go to these destinations where you don't have necessarily have the infrastructure or the airlift, but you can just like basically pick everything up and move it somewhere
And
else,
move
and
it.
you're in a brand new destination, but you still have all the luxury comforts of the Four Seasons brand.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
Perfect.
that that's, like, cruising in general, that a benefit of cruising is the fact that you unpack once, you can see all these
I
different
love
destinations.
that.
Everyone loves that. I love that too.
Yep.
But now we're complementing that with the service levels and the global notarization of Four Seasons, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's really going to come to play more. Another prime example is when we go to the Med. Like we're going to spend most of our time in Med from April till November. And when we're in the Mediterranean, again, we're not going to Barcelona, we're not going to Rome, we're not going to those big ports of call. We're going to have mega cruise ships. We're really going to Croatia, the Greek Isles, the Turkish Isles, and going to these yacht-like destinations. We are pretty much in port every single day. Sometimes we're in two ports in one day, so we'll spend the morning somewhere and the evening somewhere else. Prime example of that is in Santorini. I just recently came off a cruise where I went on a kind of a 12-day cruise from Venice to Istanbul. And every day we were in port, and it was obviously it wasn't Four Seasons because we're not on the water yet. But, good to know your competition, right? And yeah, and it was interesting. It was really great, right? But the problem was when we got to a port like Santorini, didn't matter how small our ship size was. We were there with 5 other cruise ships. There were multiple thousand passenger ships, and we're all trying to get up the hill at the same time and all trying to go down the hill at the same time. And the problem there is this is like, now I'm Canadian, so I'm thinking 35 degrees is about 100-degree weather Fahrenheit. Yeah. So, and you're no shade and, just sweating in the middle of July in Greece. And it's not a luxury or comfortable experience. You probably experienced yourself.
I've done that.
Right. And I remember I gave up and I started walking down with the donkeys down the hill because
that's what I did.
Right. And you're trying to avoid their feces everywhere you're walking. And it was just not a comfortable experience. So what we do differently, right? What we do differently is we will anchor outside Santorini in the neighboring island, and we'll stay there till around noon. And then at lunchtime, we'll sail over, get there around 3 p.m. and stay till midnight. So when everybody else is coming down the hill, we're now going up the hill, right? Reverse traffic. And, allowing our guests to have this kind of sunset dinner in Santorini. I remember we left at 6:37 p.m. and it was a beautiful sunset. And it was great sailing away into the sunset. But I would have rather been up at the top of the mountain and enjoying a nice dinner and watching the sunset as a meeting dinner. Right. The problem is everyone leaves at that time. Yeah. So, we're really trying to be cognizant of where we're going and avoiding where the big ships are going. Right.
That's really super, super smart because I had a very similar experience. When I was in Santorini, our ship said it was going to be leaving at like 9 o'clock or whatever. And we said, okay, we'll watch the sunset and then we'll take the funicular down. But then we saw the line for the funicular and said, we're not going to make it. So we were walking down with the donkeys during sunset. So not only did we not enjoy our sunset, but we had to walk down with the massives and the donkey and everything. And it wasn't fun. So this looks much nicer.
It's the way to do it. Yeah. Now, we also understand that when our guests are on the ship, on the yacht, they're going to want to do stuff, right? They're going to be able to, we want to be able to create those shore experiences for our guests. And, I'm sure that your guests use you, Emma, to book those day tours and this, that, the other. The Four Seasons clientele, they really want a higher level of experience when it comes to what they're going to do in their destination. So what we've done is we've created a team called our Yacht Service Specialist team. So what they will do is about 6 months prior to a guest sailing with us, they will contact you, Emma, and the guest and be like, hey, what is it you want to do in your destination, right? Kind of like a pre-concierge, right? So they'll be able to work with you to kind of organize, pre-arrange kind of any type of shore experiences that you may want to do either through you or through us, whatever it may be. But they're really there to kind of walk you through the journey. And the nice thing about it is we've customized into 2 different categories. So we have the Inspired by You, which is basically like they'll work with you and your clients to customize something. So let's say they want Michelin star restaurant dinner in Santorini at some restaurant, or they want to go to a vineyard and have a private table for 2 for dining for a special occasion. They will work with you guys to really make that happen, right? Just like a hotel would. So if you went to a Four Seasons hotel and you went to the concierge and you said, hey, I really want to do something special for dinner tonight. Can you help me do this? That's essentially what they're doing, but they're doing it about 6 months out because obviously logistics are a bit more when you're only there for the day and you have to kind of plan that. So this is a service, and this is a service we provide for every single one of our guests. It's not just the top tier guest, right? Okay. A lot of times hotels only provide that for the top tier, and we provide it for everybody. And then we'll have the Inspired for You. So these are more of your kind of marquee experiences that we'll have on board in destination, and we've kind of categorized them into 6 different buckets based on who we know who the Four Seasons clientele is. So it could be private shopping with your own stylist in Milan, or if it's not Milan, but again in Italy, doing a hot air balloon over Saint Tropez. Like these are the type of experiences that we're going to offer. So it's not really your everybody get on a bus with a sticker and you follow the flag. These are a bit more kind of like the Four Seasons client expects a little bit more in the way of privacy and customization. So
Mhm.
that's what we're going to be offering for our guests on board.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Now, yachting, when you see a yacht in the water, a mega yacht, I've been watching it on Netflix right now. There's this show called The Woman in Cabin 10 or something like that. It's about a
Okay,
super
yes.
yacht. And, these people kind of soaking in the sun and jumping off the ship and swimming in this, that, the other. And these super yachts have that. We really wanted to make sure that the yachting lifestyle is the most paramount when it comes to our yacht.
Mhm.
So on board the yacht, we are going to have a transverse marina. So what this means is we will have a floatable deck space, which is about the size of 2 tennis courts on each side of the yacht that come out and with a bar and restaurant in between here that allow our guests to have a full day on the water. So we will have e-foils, kayaks, floatable toys and everything complimentary for the guests to use on board the yacht. And these will be dedicated days within an itinerary, which is just meant to be a fun day on the water, right?
Mhm.
All complimentary. So this is a real highlight for the ship, especially because we are putting these in our itineraries to make sure that our clients and your clients and our guests have that true yacht experience. And this is really truly what a yacht is all about. So
Right.
we're very excited to be able to deploy these and have this kind of feature on board the ship.
And I've never heard of a marina being on both sides of the
On both
ship
sides,
before, so
yeah.
that's really cool. Yeah.
It's, honestly, I came from a brand before that had one on the back of the ship. And it's a
Hmm.
great concept in theory. But
Yep.
what happens is when you anchor your ship starts to fishtail a little bit. And
Mm.
if the weather's too rough and your marina is at the back of the ship, what happens is it becomes unusable, right? Because the
Oh,
ship is
okay.
moving too much on the back. So
Right.
by having it on both sides, you're protecting yourself a little bit from the winds and everything. So, it was a very strategic build on the ship. And actually, I'll go back to the screen here. You see the image of the ship there. The ship
Hmm.
design is actually built around the Christina O. So
Oh,
Jackie
is it really?
Onassis' ship. Yeah, that's how the
Okay.
inspiration of the ship came. And that's why it has this more kind of unique canoe
Wow.
style aft design to it. So
Hmm.
really neat concept. On the yacht as well, we will have limousine tenders and beachlanders. So these are custom built kind of speedboats, if you want to call it, more luxurious speedboats, which will guests can rent for the day, and they can go and rent these out and do their own experience with their own crew on board the yacht to have kind of like a private luxury experience off the actual ship.
Hmm.
And then we have these ribs, so these rigid inflatable boats, which are going to be kind of used to get people onto the sandy shores and as tender services actually as well. So again, utilizing what yacht clients know and love and bringing that on board the ship.
Hmm. And I love your adaptation of the I guess for all intents and purposes, it's like a zodiac, but you've got the
It's like
front
basically
that
it's like a
comes down the
zodiac, but it's
stairs. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, it's a bit more zodiac meets luxury aspect, right? Because
I
I,
love it.
I I came from I went on an expedition cruise a couple years ago to
Mhm.
Antarctica, and the zodiacs were great, but
Yep,
you have to like shimmy over and then move yourself over, and then this is the luxury version of it where
it's
don't worry
awesome.
about that. We'll just take the stairs down, right? So
I
we're
love
very
it.
excited about
Yeah.
that. Now, at the end of the day, Four Seasons is a hotel brand. We wanted to make sure that we weren't sacrificing the hotel aspect of the product by
Mhm.
bringing it onto a ship. So we are working with many of our clients know Prosper Asseline. He is a very well-known publisher of luxury travel books and luxury lifestyle books, and he's been very involved in the design of the ship and the elements of the ship in a luxury lens. And we're very excited to, kind of show what the actual yacht looks like. So
Mm.
this image here shows you the lead in room category. So this is 537 square feet. It's hardwood floors, 8-foot ceilings, Four Seasons beddings, like really meant to be like a Four Seasons hotel and not like an adaptation of a Four Seasons at sea. This is the lead-in bathroom. full-size marble,
That's
walk-in showers. The
amazing.
toilet is actually in a separate room in the bathroom. So again, it's like a hotel. This is not what you would see on a traditional cruise ship. Um, every single one of the beds face the ocean, unobstructed views. So when you wake up, you're waking up to a beautiful ocean view. Most cruise ships have the beds where they're kind of against the wall and one person's close to the toilet, a shower, and the other person's close to the balcony. Here,
Right.
both people wake up and you're forward facing and you see a beautiful view. And one thing that's different with us is our price points are priced per room. So we're not like a cruise
Okay.
line where it's your first and second passenger and then third and fourth, etc.
Right.
We're like a hotel. So everything's based on a per suite pricing.
Right.
So on average for us, you're looking at probably around about $3,000 US a night, but it's per room. So if you have one, two, three people, it's the same. And
Okay.
it runs around about the same pricing as like our Bora Bora, New York City, London, Cap Ferrat in France, Bangkok properties, right?
Okay.
Where this clientele is paying a little bit more pricey in the way of what their accommodation is, but then you see what the actual accommodation is, right?
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And just out of curiosity,
Hmm.
so what happens if like it looks stunning? I'm sure that you have a lot of couples and families that go, but what about like friends that are traveling together and can those beds be separated like traditional
Absolutely, yes.
cruise?
So
Yeah.
we
Okay.
have specific rooms. We're very specific on the rooms that can be though,
Okay.
because we have Four Seasons bedding in each one of these rooms, right? So not all the rooms can just beds can separate. Majority of them are based as a couple, but we have I'd say quite a handful of them that are separated.
Okay.
But actually, it's funny that you brought that up because I will show you here. We actually have connecting rooms. So for us, we are a family-friendly brand. We have kids
Hmm.
for all seasons on board the yacht, teens for all seasons. We expect a lot of multi-generation to be booking. The average age group of who's been booking so far, honestly, I can't give you an actual number because it's more of a financial and lifestyle demographic than it is an age demographic.
Right.
A lot of, we have a lot of wealthy families who travel with their kids or grandparents, whatever it may be. So we actually have 100 different ways where the rooms can interconnect. So these walls here are the fire screen doors with kind of veneers on both sides, and they'll pull open to allow for multiple room connectivity.
Hmm.
We also have a total of 9 studio suites around the ship, which
Oh,
connect to the main room. So this is actually just an extra bed, cabinet, sink, and toilet, right? And shower. And it's a small little room right here, but it connects to the main room. So if you, let's say, had mom and dad here, someone, maybe a teenager or a small child on the sofa bed, and then a teen in their separate room, or maybe a
okay.
bodyguard, or maybe it's 3 adults traveling together, right? You
Sure.
get two stay here and one in this room and have that extra space. We have these add-on rooms which can be used towards that for those type of guests, which
Oh,
is really
okay.
yeah.
Great.
Now, actually, I'll show you this really quickly. This was actually pictures that they took from the ship right now in the shipyard back in August, and they sent it over to me. So this gives you an idea of the actual rooms versus the artist renderings, right? So
Excellent.
you can see here king size bed. You can see the ceilings, etc. On this screen here, you can see the actual bathroom. So again, it's the marble bathrooms. This is now it looks a little bit dark, obviously, because this is not this construction lighting,
Yeah.
but it gives you an idea of how it's progressing in the artist renderings versus the actual.
Right.
Now, for those clients who like kind of private space and they want a bit more luxury and they typically book like the presidential suites, etc. We do have 7 suites on board the yacht, which are our signature suites, and they start at 2,900 square feet. These are multiple bedroom suites. They're more like a residence at sea.
Hmm.
They all come with their own private deck space, splash pool, butler style services. So this is the Saint Tropez. This is multiple bedrooms. So it's one bedroom on this side, one on that side, full living space in between. And this whole deck space is theirs,
Wow.
right? So this is for that client that typically flies maybe first class, business class, or private jet.
Hmm.
When they do their own villas, we actually get a lot of people who own their own yachts, and they love this because they don't have to worry about the yacht for a week. They could say, I don't have to worry about provisions. I don't have to worry about mooring fees and staffing. I could just go and enjoy a private yacht space.
Sure. Yeah.
And the privacy of it, a lot of our clientele, they're somewhat notable. Like they have some famous element to them, or they're C-suite executives and they want privacy. So when the ship is built, we built it so if you stand on these railings up above and you look down, the awnings are actually built so then you can't see down. So you have like a great private element, and
Right.
you don't have to worry about people peering in on your personal space, basically.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You thought of everything.
We really have, and honestly, like, we think about, speaking of everything, and so we have some suites here. Like this is the loft suite. This is 7,900 square feet. This could hold 6 adults and 1 child. But the nice thing about this particular room with that interconnectivity, it connects with all the rooms on that same floor. So you can have up to 20 people on the yacht on the same floor. So it's kind of like your own private yacht amongst the yacht, right? So if you have a multi-generation family, or, a corporate executive that wants to take their employees, rather than renting your own yacht, you could just do this, take the whole floor, right?
Fabulous. Why not?
Why not? And if you're saying why not, then why not this one, right? This is the funnel suite. This is going to be the biggest suite at sea. This particular suite is 9,900 square feet. So it's 5,000 square foot indoor space, 4,900 of outdoor space. It spans over 4 floors. It's all glass. So on the bottom floor, you have your living space, your private gym on the second floor, your primary bedroom forward facing on the next floor. And then the top floor is kind of an observation deck, right. So you can stargaze. But this floor has its own elevator, its own gym, its own kitchen, its own sauna. This is really for that guest who, just has everything, and
right.
They want the best of the best, right? So if you are one of Emma's clients who want to book these suites, highly recommend you do this ASAP, because this suite does sell out really quickly.
Right.
This goes for about $50,000 US a night. So
okay.
It is a very unique property. It's for that guest who has it all and just really wants to do something unique, right?
It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Emma, we'll have some conversation here in just a second, but I want to really touch base on what's included in the voyage. So what's included is your breakfast, your non-alcoholic beverages, your complimentary Wi-Fi, the marina activities. Of course, we'll have a spa and shops and everything on board too, and like entertainment for our guests to be able to access when they want to. We have no port fees or tax fees, and no gratuities needed, which is great. The price you see in your cruise fare, that includes all your taxes. Where we differ, though, is when it comes to our dining experiences. Now, for your traditional cruise clients, you go on a ship and it's like a all-you-can-eat buffet and everything's included and you're living happy and you're fattening up and, you come back 10 pounds heavier at the end, right?
Right.
With us, it's a little bit different. Four Seasons as a brand, we are not an all-inclusive hotel chain. If you go to any one of our properties worldwide, we are not a Sandals, you know what I mean? No offense to Sandals, but we're not that. That's not our property. Right. We are a luxury hotel brand, and our guests on board our hotel at our hotels expect a very high level of dining, a very high level of service and drink, and just food and beverage. When you stay at a Four Seasons hotel, you might be spending $2,000 or $3,000 a night, and breakfast is included. And then you go downstairs to one of our Michelin star restaurants or bars, and you're signing for a bill. Like you're paying for dinner or you're paying for drinks. And sometimes you might be in a city and you're in Texas and we have a Four Seasons in Houston, for instance, or let's say you're in New York City and you're going to say, hey, let's go to the Four Seasons tonight for dinner, or let's go for drinks at the Four Seasons. It's a destination on its own, right? Mm-hmm. So we are taking those bars and restaurants that we have at the global scale and bringing them on board the yacht. So we will have a total of 11 dining experiences on board the yacht. And we are going to bring our Michelin star chefs on board for residents on certain voyages and all those concepts we have from our hotels to the yacht. Now, where we differ is breakfast is included, but lunch and dinner and drinks are all a la carte. You sign for what you purchase, right?
Okay.
And for a traditional cruise client, that's a very hard concept to understand.
Yeah.
But I go back to the very beginning when I say, we're not trying to attract that cruise client. Right. We're trying to really attract that luxury hotel client who would typically, say, I don't want to eat in a massive dining room. Or if I'm in destination every day, I'll have breakfast on board the ship. But then if I'm in Mykonos or Santorini till midnight, I'll eat on shore, right? Yeah. So the dining aspect we're going to have on the yacht, it's going to be at next level. It's going to be at the same level that you would get at a Four Seasons. But our philosophy is if we make this an all-inclusive kind of buffet or all-inclusive restaurant, the level of quality of food and drink will not be the same as what you would get at a hotel. Also, then people feel like the rush back to get back to the ship. And we are really using this as you kind of choose your own adventure. Now, of course, there will be the days when we leave port at, let's say, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and you're going to have dinner on the ship. No different than a Four Seasons hotel. You know, we sometimes people say, "Hey, I'm just going to have dinner at the hotel tonight," and they pay for it, right?
Right.
We expect that dining would be costing about $200 per person per day. Is what the average cost will be. And that's for breakfast. That's for like meals and drinks and based on what they eat. But not everyone drinks. Not everyone eats steak and caviar, right?
Right.
When you're on a cruise ship, you know, your bill that you pay for is assuming that cost is divided amongst everybody on board, right? Despite if you drink alcohol or if you're consuming 10 pounds of caviar a day, right? Everyone's paying the same bill.
Right.
Our concept is you pay for what you eat, right?
Right.
So for your traditional cruise clients, it's a little bit harder to understand that, right? But for the luxury hotel client that really understands what Four Seasons as a brand is delivering, it's really meant to be for that client.
Right. And it's like you said right at the beginning, you're a hotel brand first, and you just happen to have a yacht. So you want the same experience on land that you want at sea. So
Yeah.
I think
Four
it translates
Seasons
perfectly.
Yeah, I think Four Seasons is probably the most well-recognized luxury hospitality company worldwide. If you go to any destination and you see a Four Seasons hotel, instantly you know. You see the tree logo, you instantly know, okay, oh, that's the Four Seasons, right? And we're not trying to divert from what we know on the hotels because we're on the water.
Right.
And a lot of people put us in the cruise kind of realm, and I understand why, because we operate like a cruise line when it comes to 7 days or 5-day itineraries, et cetera, et cetera. But we want the hotel experience to be what we know best, which is hotels.
Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. So whatever questions you have for me, I'm happy to answer it now. I think I've covered a lot in the way of the aspect of the product, and I'm sure that your clients are going to have some questions as well.
I'm sure they will, and we'll have to address those as they come. I mean, you were very comprehensive in, everything, and I think that a lot of people would understand the concept. So just tell me, like, obviously you've got one ship in the water and you've got another one coming. What other kinds of destinations are you looking at? Are you looking to just stay where you're at, or are you looking to expand?
So yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because today when we're kind of bringing this recording in, we're actually announcing our 2027 voyages. So right now we're deployed up to March of 27. So we're doing Mediterranean first, sailing over to the Caribbean, and then back to the Med.
Right.
When Yacht 2 comes out, she will likely do the same. But what we've added now to our 2027 voyages in April, we are adding Egypt. So we will be doing Egypt and Turkey combined, some 7 and 14 night itineraries. And we're also going to be focusing a lot more on the 5-night voyages, because we found is with our kind of initial launch is the 5-night voyages are the ones that people are booking the most.
All right. Okay.
Because again, they're like, I want a taste of this yacht experience. And what they're doing is they're maybe going to the Four Seasons Astir Palace in Athens, spending 2 nights there, joining the yacht, doing a 5-night kind of Greek Isle cruise, and then finishing back in Athens or in Istanbul.
Okay.
And they're kind of bookending it with our land properties, which is great.
Right.
Eventually, I hope there's going to be a Four Seasons 3, and I think that when we get a third ship in the water, likely it'll allow us to expand a little bit more on where we're going into different regions of the world. I can't really say anything on that yet, but I would expect that we're going to go elsewhere. But our plans aren't necessarily to kind of go to like cold weather destinations. Again, we're trying to be a yacht. Right. So I don't expect us going to Antarctica or Alaska, right?
Right. No, I get that.
It's really more about that follow the sun concept and that lifestyle of yachting. And I know that another major competitor in the hotel space is going to Alaska and these places. And I just don't think the word yacht belongs in a place where there's ice. And I've been to, listen, one of my favorite destinations I've been to was Antarctica. I absolutely loved it. Best vacation I've done. But, they had a heated pool, but I'm sorry, we didn't use the heated pool when you're in
Right.
Alaska or in Antarctica, right? So it's a different market, and never say never, but
Right.
we're really going to try to follow where the sun's going.
Well, I think that's incredible. And I just got back from the Galapagos myself,
Yeah,
so I
yeah.
think that this product would be pretty nice in the
Yeah,
Galapagos.
then maybe, hopefully it's good. I'll take that to our deployment team when that comes up. But
Right?
I would expect South Pacific or Southeast Asia to be something we go to eventually, all right? Because
Yeah,
obviously
Maldives,
there's some great
Seychelles.
Maldives, Seychelles,
Yeah,
Thailand, Vietnam, that region. Over
perfect.
time, I think 2030 is likely when we might have a third ship in the water, based
Right.
on just the calendar.
Yeah.
Nothing's been announced yet, but I know yachts 1 and 2 are going to be coming out, and more to come on those itineraries shortly.
Okay. When is the second one due out in the water?
Second one is due out. I believe we take possession of her in late 27, so early
Okay.
28 is when she'll
Okay.
come out. Yeah, yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah,
Well, this
yeah.
was absolutely amazing. I hope that I know I got a lot of value out of it. I hope that our clients do as well. I think you have an amazing product, and I
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see when she's finally launched and in the water.
Yes, we're very excited. I mean, I'm sure you're going to see more of us on social media platforms in the next few months once the ship is actually in the water.
Yep.
And I think that's where, and honestly, it is one of those things where if you book now, if you're booking now, you're probably getting the better rates and availability because
Sure.
people don't know about it, right?
Right.
It's
It's a
like
secret
buying
still.
it's a secret still. And once it's in social media and you have people, influencers and travel advisors like yourself and
Yeah.
kind of on it speaking it, then the demand's there. And it's
Hmm.
only a 95 passenger suite. And I compare it to like pre-sale of a condominium building or a house, right? You see it,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I see the concept, and I can buy in. Once the building's built, they're like, okay, now you can touch and feel it. Prices will probably go up because of that, right?
Right.
So,
Supply
yeah,
and demand.
supply and demand. It's the way of the world with business, right? So,
Exactly, exactly.
yeah,
Well, thank you
yeah,
again, Shane. I really appreciate all of your time. This was absolutely spectacular. Thank
absolutely.
you for sharing the Four Seasons yachts with us.
Excellent. Pleasure. I hope you see you and your guests on board soon.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thanks, Emma.
Bye.
Okay.